next part of building this character, you have some ideas. You have a name for your character. That's great. You have some costume ideas of what she's going to look like. That's great. I think what would be useful as your next step is imagining a couple different things. First, when the audience looks at you and they see you doing your performance, what do they see? What do they feel? How are they? And when you're out there looking at the audience, looking at you doing the performance, how are you feeling to make them elicit those responses from them? And so I heard you just say, she's fun and she's vibrant. So I want you to make a list of all of those words that describe what the experience would be like for both you and the audience, so that when you're constructing this character, you can consciously figure out, okay, how do I make her look X? How do I experience blah? How do I have them experience blah? How do I make myself feel that way? Because you might discover certain costuming, like for me, when I wear glitter, it just changes my mood. It just does. It's one of those things. So it could be an external element like a piece of costuming that goes with your character, or it could be an internal thing that you say, like a mantra that suddenly has you get into the state where you're like, yes, I am Glitter Girl incarnate, woo! Or whoever you are incarnate. Or it could be some set of moves that when you do them, you always feel in the flow and you feel fierce in that, or whatever it is you want to, or you feel playful or you feel fun, or whatever it is. You want to know what these things are so that you can associate these things with these aspects of what you're trying to portray in the character. But unless you have a list of what it is you're going to try and portray, you can't know how to meet those goals. So the next step is to make a list of all of the aspects of your character that you can imagine. What your character sees, what they look like, what they feel, what other people see when they see them, how you feel executing certain moves, how much space you want to take up on the stage, what sort of presence you want to have, whether you're going to be coy, whether you want to be looking at the audience, whether you want some combination of the two of those things, whether you're moving close to them, how far away from them there are, whether or not you have a big stage or a small stage, if you have an audience of 10 or 100 or 1,000 or 10,000, like all of these things are elements of what you want to be asking yourself as you're building the ideal of what you want to be creating for your performance. So I invite you to be in the inquiry of everything I just said. And more, anything else you can think of too. Then my invitation to you, in order to begin engaging the practice of looking up, is to engage the practice of looking up. So set a timer for yourself for once every 2 hours and just look up and make sure you are looking up so that you can begin the practice in your life. Because what I'm hearing you say is, this is not a poi thing. This is a life thing. You move through your life often downward facing. So let's engage. Let's look up and engage. So a timer, and then in your flow journal or post-it notes around your house, look up. And you might want to put the post-it notes down low so that you remember to look up. There's nothing wrong with what you can do, even if you do it in a way that looks different than someone else's, right? If you have a limited repertoire, but your repertoire is stylistically your own, that is often more potent than somebody who can do a bazillion tricks but looks really super boring because they're just standing there looking down and they have no engagement with the audience. Performance is more than just technique, and how you sell yourself is way more important than the technique. So to say, well, I know I can't really do it. No, you are doing it. Even if you're only doing 3 tricks, you're still doing it. It's just a small, tiny little repertoire. But to be honest, a lot of the people that I know that have made the most amount of money with poi have a smaller repertoire that they just totally nail and completely repeat, and they do the same show again and again and again and again and again. And they have fun and they make money doing it. And that's good for them. It really depends on what you want to get out of the art form. So if you're looking to have a nice, clean show, even if you only have 5 tricks that you express with lots of different variation in the tricks, the height changes, the size changes, the speed changes, the way you add stopping, the way you add motion, the way you add your movement of your body or your character, or the pregnant pauses or the acceleration, all of those things, and the way you match it to the music, even if it's just 5 tricks, that can still be an awesome performance. Let me refer you to The Cat in the Hat. It's all simple words, but it is a brilliant little story. Or Green Eggs and Ham, right? These are not stories that have prolific vocabularies, but they are brilliant stories in their own right for what they are. So I invite you to think of yourself as engaging the art at the level that you're at, which is beautiful for what it is. Summarize that as, it's not about what you're not, it's about what you are. Yeah. Because Every single one of us, I don't care how accomplished you are, you can always know more. You at everything, it's infinite. So if it's infinite, then everybody is lacking. So since we're all lacking, who cares, right? Plus, self to self comparison, not self to other. The deeper invitation, the character is a wonderful thing to have in the context of poi. What I have noticed for myself is, as I have embodied Glitter Girl more and more over the decades, there's a way in which that personality and the attributes and the essence of the vivacious, lively, funny, cheerful, bright, sort of inconceivable, ka-ching, glitter, that aspect has become part of how I am as a person. And if what you're struggling with is taking on a new identity, you can begin in little bits and pieces to take the pieces from this identity of this character that lives here and integrate it more into your life, as opposed to having to keep it separate. And you can force yourself to change. So if this person is more comfortable going with the flow as opposed to having OCD, perhaps you can take on more of Cosmic Chrissy's go with the flow nature, as opposed to being stuck in the prescriptive nature of, I gotta get this done in this order, and if I don't, then I've done it wrong. And maybe that'll help you with some of your own personal transformation a little bit.